Prizes on the Prize 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act celebration, presented by the Honey Brown Hope Foundation in conjunction with HEB. Memories of the civil rights era are best told by those who lived it, those who were voluntarily involved or pushed into the violent years of the civil rights movement. That is why the Honey Brown Hope Foundation and its founder, Executive Director Tammy Lane Campbell, along with HEB and our honorary chairs, D'Artagnan Babel, Vice President and General Manager for Fox 26 KRIV-TV and My 20 KTXH-TV, Jack Sweeney, Chairman of the Houston Chronicle, Dr. Charles Dupree, Superintendent of Fort Bend ISD, and community advocates Attorney Benjamin Hall and his wife Sandra Hall, along with our supporters, are honored to acknowledge the contributions of Sarah Collins Rudolph and State Representative Senfronia Thompson. The honorees, Sarah Collins Rudolph and State Representative Senfronia Thompson. Sarah Collins Rudolph, the sole survivor of the 5 little girls in the vicious 1963 Birmingham church bombing. Less than a month after the March on Washington, on Sunday, September 15, 1963, at 10:22 a.m., 5 little girls became victims of the Ku Klux Klan's evil, cowardly, hatred-filled criminal act that bombed Birmingham, Alabama, 16th Street Baptist Church. Before this violent act against innocence, these little girls had steered clear of the reoccurring bombing of these homegrown terrorist members of the Ku Klux Klan. This was the 4th bombing in 4 weeks in Birmingham, and the 3rd since the school desegregation crisis on September 4th. The frequent bombings of the African American community in Birmingham by these homegrown terrorists caused the city to be nicknamed Bombingham. The aftermath. The explosion created a cloud of white dust and shattered the church's stained glass windows. It flattened 2 nearby cars like toys, blew out windows blocks away, and caused many churchgoers to stagger around the building in a cloud of white dust. It was reported that when the firemen looked through the debris, they uncovered 4 unrecognizable and distorted casualties of hatred stacked horizontally like firewood. Shock, rage, and shame covered the town as images of the 4 little girls, 14-year-olds Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley, and 11-year-old Denise McNair, being loaded in a hearse, were etched into America's consciousness. The unmentioned survivor, Sarah Collins, became a mere footnote in history. She was unable to attend her sister Addie Mae Collins and her friends' funerals because she was recovering from the loss of her right eye, impaired vision of her left eye, and impact injuries from the bombing. Out of the ashes, now Sarah Collins Rudolph has risen up with a commitment to being the voice for her sister and the other martyrs of this hate crime. She's committed to making sure the real story about that day is told, that justice is served, and her sister's remains are found. Prosecutions in the killings of Denise McNair, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Morris Wesley, and Carol Robertson were delayed by the reluctance of witnesses and a lack of physical evidence. One suspect died in 1994 without ever being charged. 3 others were convicted of murder between 1977 and 2002. 15 years ago, Sarah's family chose to move Addie's remains to a mausoleum. When they exhumed her remains, Addie wasn't there. That launched an investigation. Attorney John Hall volunteered his services, but the Poole Funeral Home told the family Addie's records were lost in a fire. Laws prohibit the family from exhuming surrounding graves, so finding Addie is becoming extremely difficult. Convicted by this crime fueled by hatred, America was forced to confront inequality and racism. This event refueled the civil rights movement and advanced the passing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. This landmark legislation paved the way for equality and made it possible for our other honoree to become the longest-serving female and African-American member of the Texas House of Representatives. Representative Senfronia Thompson, 141st District.
I'm State Representative Senfronia Thompson from Northeast Houston, and I have entered the fight to take a big bite out of human trafficking.
I want to tell you that 2 years ago we passed a law that said a child could not be prosecuted for prostitution, and we did something. We created a diversion program, cleaned their record up, gave them a new lease on life. I want to tell you that last session of the legislature we said that if we caught a person who has been using this as an enterprise, making money, we're going to take it from them.
And I just don't want that charge to be a knitting needle. I don't want that charge to be a feather. I don't want that charge to be a bottle of turpentine. And I don't want that charge to be a coat hanger.
Representative Thompson is a civil rights advocate who stands strong for youth, women, minorities, the elderly, teachers, civil libertarians, labor, consumers, reform advocates, and domestic violence victims. Senfronia Thompson was born in 1939 on land her grandparents, black sharecroppers, farmed in rural Booth in southeast Texas. She and her family later moved to the historic 4th Ward area in Houston, where she graduated from Booker T. Washington High School. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in biology, a master's in education, and law degree from Texas Southern University, along with a master's of law in international law from University of Houston. Representative Thompson worked as an educator and went on to pursue her passion in politics. She was elected to the House in 1972. Representative Senfronia Thompson stands out on the right side of history, from the drugstore lunch counter sit-ins right here in Houston to fighting for civil rights for the vulnerable and voiceless. Serving in the Texas House since 1972, she is affectionately known with equal parts reverence and fear as Miss T. She made history in 2007 as the first woman and the first African-American legislator in this state of Texas to serve for 34 years. To her last breath, she will defend those who can't defend themselves, Governor Rick Perry, a Republican, said of Ms. Thompson earlier this year during a roast in which he called her the legislator's mama bear. Representative Thompson describes herself as a different animal, the house lion who prowls around to make sure people keep working for good. She says, quote, "If you've been downtrodden all your life, if you've known the struggle of the voiceless who can't afford to hire lobbyists to have their needs addressed, you're always going to try to do that." During the mid-1990s, she pushed through a bill mandating court-ordered alimony and worked across the aisle to block redlining by forcing insurers to cover new forms of birth control. Her provocative James Burt Jr. Hate Crimes Act included protections for gay men and lesbians that passed in 2001. The James Burt Jr. Hate Crimes Act was named for the black man dragged to death behind a pickup truck in Jasper, Texas. Representative Thompson stands firm on her conviction that little dogs need to eat too. She has passed measures to help low-income residents pay their electricity bills, fended off cuts to nursing homes. She's provided support for rape victims and prevented racial profiling. Several of her colleagues have testified on her commitment. Representative Thompson is ranked among the top 5 most effective legislators, sponsoring and pushing through 32 bills one year and 50 bills the next, including the Texas minimum wage law, the state's first alimony law, and protecting the reproductive rights of women. Representative Thompson has also campaigned against environmental racism that afflicts the people of Houston with its enormous petrochemical plants and oil refineries. Representative Thompson is an American civil rights leader, a model public servant of the Texas House of Representatives, representing the 141st District. She continuously serves her constituents with honor and commitment.